Hello everyone and welcome to the screencast covering the strengthening a tobacco-free college campus. By the way, Grand Valley is not a smoke-free campus. Policy through signage. GIS mapping for advocacy. Cool. To improve implementation. What? So at any rate, let's kind of go through and talk a little bit about what they did with this particular article and how they use GIS, graphic information systems, to create an advocacy plan. So with that said, I'm going to kind of cover some things that are embedded into the introduction, if you will, and then I'm going to go into what they did from a policy standpoint. So with that said, think about the public health advocacy skills were needed to promote implementation of this policy. Yes or no? Okay. So do you think that we should have some skill sets, advocacy skill sets in order to implement policy? I'm thinking yes, but I want you to think about that one. So with that said, I'm going to scroll down here and talk about what they did. And, they wanted to implement, the university officially adopted the policy in 2018. Okay, so can we use this as a basis to even substantiate why this is of value and how we can collect data? Now, what I thought was interesting about this particular article, not only just the title, but how it kind of spearheaded some of the constructs of the policy to the advocacy event for a smoke-free campus. So what they did, in every advocacy campaign and in every implementation, data collection is so valuable. So looking at it from a literature standpoint, that's why we do literature reviews, scoping reviews, systematic reviews, meta-analysis, or why we actually do something like GIS data collecting. And it's right here. I'm going to actually highlight it for you. After collection, these data were mapped using free GIS software. So I would encourage you to take a look at that software. It's pretty cool. And then take a look at what they did. Okay, so figure 1 is of great value because it kind of maps out sections of where the campus buildings are, where their smoke-free signs are. You'll notice that in our campus, they're right outside the door. You could get 25 feet and you still walk in and you still get the breath of fresh smoke, I guess, so to speak. So anyway, to kind of just double check with regards to how this was actually implemented, let's talk a little bit about, again, the software. Again, this is a real short article. I just wanted to kind of get a context of how this actually works and why using something like a GIS program can actually provide you with data. Okay, so I'm going to go back up here and talk a little bit about what they did. Okay, they had 6 researchers and they mentioned student accessible areas. I don't think that they meant like ADA accessible areas. They were looking at where students actually go in from a day-to-day basis looking for when they enter a building, for example. With that said, I think what's important to note here is on this campus, 9 months after policy went, found that 78 tobacco-related signs and 41 environmental cues to smoke. Okay, and I think again they wanted to make sure that the stakeholders were involved. That is a huge element to advocacy, folks. Who are your stakeholders, and where's the data? That could include having a literature review with a meta-analysis. That could be doing a GIS and getting data to show where these areas are at. How can we decrease these areas, or can we make a smoke-free campus where signage needs to be placed? So with that said, I also want you to take a good look at what they learned. Okay, we recommend providing data collectors with maps. Okay, having the right tool in place. And oftentimes it's difficult to figure out. Once you've got a plan going in, you have to kind of figure out the nuances, and that's trial and error, using your evaluation, using your assessments to find out whether or not something worked. Okay, and then I'm going to go down here, and I like this piece right here. Once a policy is enacted, public health advocacy tools may be needed to encourage administrators. What do you think would encourage administrators? Okay. Is it signage? Is it video? Is it meetings? Who knows? But that's what you need to take a look at. So I want you to kind of focus in on what other lessons could have been learned in this particular article. This is a short one.